GM. GM. So, daily levels. Today is Thursday, the 8th of Feb. And I was talking about this yesterday, well, really all week and all of last week. If you go back and watch, just very simple. We sold off from 49 to 39. We consolidated, had an impulse move higher, and then a 1 week or 9 day sideways compressing compressing consolidation with volatility declining, volumes decreasing, choppy. The first direction you should expect that to break is in the direction of the preceding trend. So the preceding impulse was higher. So remember, if you go to the trading lessons, you'll see this. The nature of a trend is impulse, correction, impulse, right? And regardless of what way that correction looks, it can look in many different ways. It can be a compression, it can be a bull flag, it can be upward sloping, it can be a bunch of different ways. It doesn't mean, first of all, absolutely it's not 100% accurate. And also, what a lot of people miss is you have to have had an impulse. This was the key part. The fact that we pushed into a consolidation and impulsed higher, which means you break away with high volume and leaving gaps behind into a consolidation higher. Oftentimes, you'll see, especially in this phase of the market, like where it was clearly going down, right? It went down all the way to 39. If it had just sort of went like this and was more corrective in its grind up, that wouldn't be considered an impulse. So if you then saw a compression, it wouldn't necessarily break to the upside, or at least if it did, you wouldn't have as much confidence it might reverse, or it could even break to the downside. The impulse is all important. The impulsive price action now is quite clearly to the upside from here and last night's breakout going into this morning. That doesn't mean we're going to the moon necessarily, but the trend is up. And I also think one of the main things I'm looking at here is I want you all to really closely watch Bitcoin dominance, because in my mind, Bitcoin is the only game in town at the moment. This isn't strictly accurate. Obviously, some altcoins will always do well, but what I've noticed more from looking online and from seeing positioning as well is that as soon as Bitcoin starts to move, people are going piling into altcoins. And it's not just that. People are carrying heavy altcoin bags, right? You remember that when Bitcoin went sideways here for a month, everybody got long alts. Then we all pushed up, then we had the sell off, then it got washed out. But people are buying the dip, and instead of buying Bitcoin, they're buying alts. I think that's a mistake broadly. Nothing wrong with buying some alts. Alts always do well. But I don't think we're just going to go alt season. I think it's either going to be Bitcoin strength and Bitcoin dominance increasing, which we're seeing a bit of. We're seeing Bitcoin dominance start to climb slowly higher. Or we're actually going to see a sell-off, because the market's going to get itself too excited up into big resistance. Then we're going to sell off, revisit the lows. And at that point, alts will get crushed. Some of them will go to new lows. But that's not happening yet. For now, we're going up. So we'll just expect continuation until something proves otherwise. But here's not the place to be adding, massive amounts of risk. If you look at the changes now of open interest and funding across the market, I talked about this yesterday or the other day. I said, if and when we break out, you're going to see everybody get long, going up into the highs. And sure enough, we can see now, if we go and look at Bitcoin open interest, altcoin open interest, Bitcoin funding, altcoin funding. Bitcoin's funding is still below neutral. Altcoin funding is just ticking back towards neutral. So for now, everything's okay, not too bad, relatively healthy. Bit of a rate of change, but the alts had gotten really negative, so that rate of change is quite normal. Bitcoin has had a couple of spikes above neutral funding, but broadly it's sitting at neutral, like 0.0098. That's basically neutral. Altcoin open interest has just been climbing, climbing, climbing. Again, nothing overly concerning about that. It's not like it's ramping up super hard. Bitcoin's open interest has ramped up. Obviously, there'll be some longs in there, but I do think shorts, obviously, given the way that we're moving, shorts are offside currently. And so, no reason to start, you know, fading this yet or expecting massive nukes or anything like that, even though we can have a sell off. Right? This is not a trend on the higher time frames. So we trended down on the low time frames. This is